We are in northeast Iowa today, visiting with Jason Moellers. So we're very excited to see what Jason has to share with us on his super management of his Stine corn. And I do believe he has something very special for me, anyway, to do here. Well, Jason, yeah, thanks for meeting with me here. So tell me a little bit about how you got farming, about your family farm, your situation, you know, what's happened over the years.
Well, I got farming basically because we grew up on the farm. Mom and Dad were farming. It's always been in the blood. I got out of high school, went to tech school for mechanics, worked for a mechanic for a couple of years. I actually switched to a factory job because it allowed more time to be at home helping the brothers that were running in a partnership. Mom and Dad come to me and asked if I wanted to run one of the farms on half and half, and so why not?
You've been growing Stine corn for many years now. What would be your favorite Stine hybrid?
As of today, the portfolio they got for my region, my number one go-to hybrid on bean ground is a 9655. It is one of the hybrids that can handle higher population and it pays. It's my number one go-to hybrid on that. The corn on corn, there's a few other hybrids I like. 9434-11, there's a 9436, although I found that one does not like wet feet. But when you talk high population corn, there's a number that even in 15-inch rows, I wouldn't plant over 40,000. It's got a better flex ear and it can put on just as much grain there as it could at 44. So sure. It's just little nicks and tweaks. So I'm waiting for your guys' Nick's new best hybrid.
So Jason, let's talk some on your populations specifically, and then on some specific hybrids, and how you're managing those hybrids population-wise, and with nitrogen and all your inputs.
The nitrogen, the input management, that gets a little tricky because we use a lot of hog manure and some other stuff, so I have to kind of block my fields. Of course, we're sending in samples on the manure to know what we're actually putting out there. And then the rest of the fields, we use commercial fertilizer to try to keep up. The first thing I learned years ago, before I actually went to the higher population and 15-inch rows, we use the manure. Here, I don't have enough manure for my acres, so I'm basically covering a third of my acres every year. And then I try to switch. Now, that doesn't always work if you're putting some beans or something in there, but pretty much every third year, I cover with a pretty good dose of hog manure. And then I use some of that phosphorus and potassium for kind of a 2-year removal, because as that breaks down, more comes available. And then the number one thing I learned 15 years ago, we tried to use basically all manure. I was finding out with doing some soil sampling and some other things that I wasn't keeping up. That's when I actually started adding a little more fertilizer. It was more there than just when I started going to the 15-inch rows. Everybody asked why I went to 15s, and I said, well, we've tried anything and everything with 30-inch rows. We tried fertilizer, tried seed treatments. We've varied fertilizer, varied population, and it seemed like we were peaking out. And as the old saying goes, they always say if you're gonna keep doing the same thing year after year and expect different results, it is a version of insanity, so I'm trying something different. In 30-inch corn, when you get to waist high, you're covering the whole 30 inches. I'm looking at trying to give the space in the row. I think it's working. I think it's helped. My yield data says it's working. I'm trying to right now figure out how to get to the next 20 bushels.
Let's go out and look at some of this stuff out in the field right now.
We got it right out here.
All right. Let's talk about some other details like seed bed preparation. So you're in 15-inch rows. Seed bed preparation. Anything special you do there?
Seed bed preparation for me isn't different. It depends upon the field, it depends upon the previous crop, it depends upon what I've done prior. I do a fair amount of no-till corn into bean ground. Number one reason for that is we're in the hills, and bean ground is the best thing to grow corn in that I've found, other than actually ripping up some alfalfa or some oats. But in my hills, even at no-till, heavy rains like to start ripping the ground up. The neat thing about farming is every day's just a little bit different, but you're always trying to beat last year. We pay attention to what everybody else is doing, trying to find out what's working for them, what's working for you. It's an actual goal of beating last year, and it's one of those things that gives you the momentum to keep going.